Looking much drier than further south on Sunday morning, but again a cloudier start than previous days, and the risk of showers will increase through the morning. In northeast England, cloud from the North Sea will move into many areas, bringing a relatively murky start once again, although it will be dry for all for the morning. Southern Scotland will see the best of the sunshine to start the final day of the bank holiday, though it could feel a little chilly in the shade. And in Northern Ireland, it'll be a fine start to the day, but probably a bit cloudier than recent mornings, though the winds will be light. Towards lunchtime, some central areas will turn drier for a time, but it'll stay quite cloudy and rain will continue for some, and that's how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
On Mark Dolan tonight, in the second of 3 Jubilee special shows, in The Big Question, are the press too hard on Meghan Markle? We'll speak to a former close friend of the Duchess. My Mark Meets guest is showbiz royalty, fitness icon and model and TV presenter Diana Moran. She'll be talking about fame and surviving cancer. Reacting to the big stories of the day, my all-star panel tonight. Olympic legend Chris Akabusi, political commentator Connor Tomlinson, and live in person in the UK and in the studio, this is not a drill, folks. The Queen of US showbiz, political and royal reporting, Kinsey Schofield. Strap yourselves in, and in my big opinion, why patriotism should be taught in schools. We've got an unmissable 2 hours for you, so grab a glass of wine and your tiara, and I'll see you after the headlines with Bethany.
Thanks, Mark. I am Bethany Elsey in the GB newsroom, here to get you up to date. More than 30 members of the royal family have gathered at Buckingham Palace to watch the Jubilee concert. But Prince Harry and Meghan, whose daughter Lilibet is celebrating her first birthday, won't be amongst those in the royal box. A spokesperson for the couple said they are spending the day privately. Diana Ross, Queen and Rod Stewart are among the acts headlining the event in front of a crowd of 22,000 people. The Prince of Wales and the Duke of Cambridge will also take to the stage to pay public tribute to Her Majesty. Now, the Queen isn't attending the concert, and she also missed the Epsom Derby today. Princess Anne represented the monarch, who's been experiencing mobility problems. Her Majesty watched the race from TV from Windsor Castle. Desert Crown won the Derby, giving trainer Sir Michael Stoute his 6th success in the race. And it was delayed due to pro-vegan climate activists who ran onto the track. Earlier, Prince George and Princess Charlotte made their first official visit to Wales. They joined their parents, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, at Cardiff Castle to meet performers involved in the Jubilee concert taking place there. Separately, the Earl and Countess of Wessex visited a 1950s-themed event in Northern Ireland as part of the festivities. They also watched a community dance group perform a routine celebrating the last 7 decades. And as well as the thousands of people celebrating the Queen at street parties across the country, there's also been a tribute from an unexpected supporter. More than 70 corgis have gathered on the lawn at Balmoral Castle. The Cardigan Welsh and Pembroke Welsh corgis, which are the Queen's favourite breed, enjoyed a walk in the royal estate with their owners. In other news, in Ukraine, the governor of Luhansk has said Russia has been blowing up bridges across the area's main river to prevent Ukrainians bringing in military reinforcements. Ukrainian authorities say they've pushed back Russia's advance in the strategic city of Severodonetsk in the east of the country, taking back control of around 20% of the city. The Ukrainian officials say troops can hold out for up to 2 weeks, despite Moscow deploying reinforcements. Back here in the UK, flight delays and cancellations at airports across the country over the half-term has continued today as EasyJet cancelled at least 20 flights. The budget airline also confirmed dozens of flights were delayed at London's Gatwick Airport. EasyJet apologised and said passengers were informed either last week or overnight of their options to rebook or receive a refund. British Airways, Wizz Air and Vueling also cancelled or delayed flights from London's Gatwick Airport. On TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now, let's get back to Mark Dolan.
Welcome to Mark Dolan tonight and a special evening of Jubilee celebrations we have in store for you. In the big question, are the press too hard on Meghan Markle? We'll speak to her former best friend, TV presenter Lizzie Cundy. In the news agenda with my panel, what has happened to Simon Cowell's face? Is plastic surgery ever a good idea? Also, the great scone debate. Is it scone or scone? And is it jam or cream first? Also, is the evil stepmother a myth? We'll be talking about the challenges of step families. Reacting to those stories and many more are my brilliant panel tonight of Olympic legend Chris Akabusi, the Queen of US showbiz, political and royal reporting, live in the studio here in the UK, all the way from sunny California. It's the even sunnier Kinsey Schofield, and a good friend of mine, and a welcome return to the show to political commentator Connor Tomlinson, always with the hot take. Yes, indeed. Now, my Mark Meets guest is fitness icon Diana Moran. We'll be talking to her about her incredible TV and modelling career and surviving cancer. I want to hear from you throughout the show. Mark at gbnews.uk. You know the programme is always brilliant when you get in touch. So get those emails in, mark at gbnews.uk. And this show has a golden rule. And what is that rule? We don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it. So for the next 2 hours, big debates, big guests, and a big celebration of Her Majesty the Queen. And always big opinions. Let's start with this one. It's been a good weekend for the flag shaggers. The patriotic scenes across the length and breadth of this land have been a sight to behold. The flags adorning people's houses and flats, shops, pubs, cars, vans and public buildings is a sign that we can once again dare to love our country. With street parties across all 4 parts of the United Kingdom, national pride is writ large across every conceivable community, religion, social class and ethnic background. Apart from a few Britain-hating politicians and some in the media who can't stand this place, the people, by and large, came together to celebrate not just our remarkable monarch and her 7 decades on the throne, but they came together to celebrate Britain. The Union flag, once potentially a divisive symbol appropriated by the hard right, who represent almost no one, the Union flag is once again a symbol for all of us, of our pride, our community, and our togetherness. The joyous celebrations this weekend will irritate those who love to talk this country down, like politicians moaning about the flags on Regent Street in London, and the handful of numpties on social media likening those gorgeous flags to Nazi Germany. It's my view that most of those people so repulsed by the Union flag are Remain lunatics who still haven't got over Brexit. Except that these flag-hating turncoats are more than happy to put flags on their Twitter bio, especially if it's a flag of the EU. Too many politicians and commentators want to create division with identity politics, which separates society into small groups, setting one group against another and creating tribes whose toxic, intolerant message can be amplified on social media. We've got LGBTQ+, we've got disabled people, we've got BAME people, trans, non-binary, men with vaginas, women with penises. We've got so-called gammons and Karens. We've got Brexiteers and Remainers. We've got woke and unwoke, lefties and right-wingers. We've got Tories, we've got Labour. We've got black, we've got white, and everything in between. And it's an industry for many in politics and within corporations, in our public institutions and in the media, to keep those groups divided. But the inconvenient truth is that divided we are not. We are, in fact, united by one thing and one thing alone, by being Brits, which is why the flag is so important, as it is for any self-respecting country. I'm hugely patriotic and always have been. My parents came to the United Kingdom in the early 60s from rural Ireland and made a family and a life here. So I'm deeply grateful for Britain. And I guess you could say I have a level of patriotic zeal which is unique to immigrants. There is an important distinction between patriotism and nationalism. Nationalism, as any historian will tell you, is a negative force that says your country is superior and by definition wishes ill upon its neighbours. Patriotism is different. It's positive. Patriotism is a celebration of a country, its history, its people and its values. In the case of Britain, what are those values? Well, tolerance, diversity, open-mindedness, aspiration, decency and integrity. That the Jubilee has seemingly almost single-handedly united the country in a way no sporting event like the World Cup or Euros could, demonstrates just how important our monarchy is. To have a non-political figure at the heart of our constitution will always unite rather than divide. The Americans have a messy situation, apologies Kinsey, in which their head of state is also their head of government, all in the form of the president. We can give our head of government, the Prime Minister, absolute hell on a daily basis, and we do, whilst liking and admiring our head of state, the King or Queen. It's healthy that way round. Just in case you think that wrapping yourself in the flag and being patriotic is a bad thing, take a look at Ukraine, for whom patriotism is binding that country together at a time of crisis, and which will, I believe, ultimately defeat Putin. Countries are only successful when they are united. And after the last few days, it has cheered my soul to see how united the United Kingdom actually is. And watching people coming together, huddled around tables at street parties and in packed bars and restaurants, it looks like this Jubilee has put a full stop on the pandemic too. The last few days has been a reminder of what we've been missing for so long now. And this Jubilee feels like a return to normal and hopefully an agreed resolution that we will never replicate the madness of the last 2 years ever again. There are still a few people outdoors in masks. Good luck to them. It's a free country. I just liken them to the Japanese soldiers who were still fighting the Second World War in the 1960s. This year's Jubilee feels like a moment in our history and a chance in a whole variety of ways, post-pandemic and post-Brexit, to move on, and to move on together. Probe and challenge what your country does, absolutely, and learn from its mistakes and crimes, including the horrors of war and slavery. No country has a spotless record, but Britain, let me tell you, is not short on glory. Our history is an amazing one, and not to be unilaterally apologised for. I think patriotism and pride in your country should be taught in schools. The Michaela Community State School in Wembley is an amazing place. It's in a deprived part of the capital with a majority of ethnic students. It's a huge success story and a brilliant place which is transforming the lives of its students. Under the leadership of strict headmistress Catherine Burble-Singh, Britain's strictest headmistress, they say, the pupils celebrate Britain as part of their school day every day. They remind all of these wonderful children at the school that they are all British and to celebrate that. So to all of you watching this programme, whoever you are, wherever you come from, whichever God you worship, and whatever the colour of your skin, this is your country, and your country needs you. It's time for the United Kingdom and all of its amazing people to once again unite. And if we do that, then for Britain, the best is yet to come. Reacting to that and the big stories of the day is my brilliant panel tonight. In the studio here in the UK, all the way from sunny California, Kinsey Schofield, the Queen of US showbiz, royal and political reporting. We also have, I'm delighted to say, political commentator Connor Tomlinson and Olympian and British sporting national treasure Chris Akabusi. I've got to start with you, our Queen, Queen Kinsey, the Queen of US showbiz and royal reporting. For all its problems, America doesn't struggle with patriotism, does it?
Well, as I was seeing the excitement throughout the Jubilee and on the streets, I did think that I don't know if America could ever come together the way this country has come together for this Jubilee and this celebration of the Queen because of politics, because people are so extreme on either side right now and our politics are so toxic. So I completely agree with you. It's really enchanting to see the way that your country has come together and you're all rallying around the Queen and celebrating her, because I don't know if I've ever seen that in the United States and if I will anytime soon.
Yes, and I hear what you're saying, because America is very divided at the moment, isn't it, between red and blue Democrats and the Republicans. However, America as a culture is a naturally patriotic one, isn't it? I mean, the flag is in every school, in most classrooms. You know, the Americans don't struggle to actually sort of speak up for and stand up for their country.
I agree, yes. We do have the flag. We say the Pledge of Allegiance. So we do celebrate it in that way. But I just don't think I've ever seen something as extraordinary as I've witnessed over the last few days for the Queen.
Well, that's interesting. Connor Tomlinson, I do feel that in the last few days, the United Kingdom has become very united indeed, silencing all of those flag haters. But will it last?
Well, I think you're right. It's a real galvanising event, and I think it's actually become sort of proving ground on the fact that we should have more Union Jacks in daily life. It really pretties up the place, especially with a lot of brutalist architecture from the cities that really ruined our skylines. Though I will pick apart one small thing in your monologue, Mark, and I think it's because you ended with "the best is yet to come," a phrase of Kinsey's homeland politician Donald Trump. It's that I don't think nationalism actually is at fault for asserting that your country is superior. I think actually the United Kingdom, specifically the glorious Kingdom of England, is the best nation in the history of the world. Our moral innovations, our technological innovations have allowed humanity to come leaps and bounds. If it weren't for the Industrial Revolution, which is unfairly demonised by the extreme side of the green lobby, then the entire world would be living in poverty. We'd have awful life expectancies. We wouldn't even have romantic literature because we wouldn't have had all our forests regrown, etc. I think England was ahead of the curve in abolishing slavery and taking the fight to Adolf Hitler, for example. I think we've got a lot of pride to be little Englanders, a nation of shopkeepers, and to have battled away the sort of EU bureaucrat mentality. So I think actually it's sort of closer that nationalism is in the Orwell definition. He was right about a lot of things, in that it's the belief that you can involuntarily monopolise people's identities based on their group characteristics. And I think that's why a lot of people, the so-called anti-flag shaggers, as you so eloquently put, hate this occasion. It's because they're not patriots. Orwell once said, actually, you'd find a lot of academics would sooner steal from a poor box than sing God Save the Queen. And I think that's pretty apt. And they have to oppose this sort of occasion because they want to fill your heads with all sort of woke nonsense, and the supremacy of Britain and all of its moral character just really won't stand for that.
Chris Akabusi, you are a true British national treasure. Is patriotism important?
100%. I was very proud to be representing the United Kingdom, and it was interesting. I think that Connor, as much as I can agree with what he said, the moment he went into England, when we were talking about United Kingdom, I could imagine right away many people getting apoplectic with rage, because what we are celebrating is Great Britain, is the United Kingdom. Certainly at my golf club at Woburn, I was with people from Italian, Greek, African, Caribbean origins, but we are united under the Queen and Great Britain. And I think we mustn't lose that. I did compete for England. I did compete for United Kingdom. It's a great country. We've done phenomenal stuff. And quite clearly, we've moved on a lot from the world I came into in the 50s and 60s, where there was a lot more tension, I think, amongst the desperate groups within the United Kingdom. But I'm very proud of it, yes.
Chris, do you think more should be done in schools to encourage patriotism? And I don't mean rampant nationalism, but just the principle that you're proud of your country. An example I gave in the Big Opinion monologue was Michaela Community School, majority ethnic. They sing hymns and they pledge allegiance to the flag.
Well, I was going to say, Mark, yeah, I mean, I don't know where we lost it. Certainly, when I was a young kid, we sang hymns and, Green and Pleasant Lands and Land of Hope and Glory. And
go on then, go on, give us a whirl.
You definitely don't want that, big guy. You definitely don't want that.
He who valiant be.
But honestly, and it made you proud to be British, and it did solidify the concept that we were one. Now, I've got to say, I was born in the 50s, and we just come off the World Cup when West Ham won the World Cup in 1966. I had to get that one in. But we were connected, obviously, to a great and glorious past. But definitely, in school, in assembly, unified round a set of, the Lord's Prayer, for example, the Lord's Prayer, some key hymns. Then you know that you are one nation under a flag, under the monarch, going forward and fighting for United Kingdom. I'm in for that one.
I love it. God save our gracious
I haven't
Queen.
drank nearly enough for this, Mark.
I will carry on, but I'll be honest, I don't want to get the words wrong. Is patriotism a bad thing? What do you think, Mark, at gbnews.uk? A really busy hour to come. Before 10 o'clock, we'll speak to one of the world's leading plastic surgeons, the New York-based, the remarkably talented and gifted Richard Weisbach. And we'll be talking about Simon Cowell. What has happened to Simon Cowell's face? Also, is the evil stepmother a myth? We'll be talking about the challenge for step families. Also, the big scone debate. Is it scone or scone? We'll be eating some shortly. Plus, an amazing Victoria sponge sandwich made by Connor Tomlinson's very own mum. Look forward to that. I'm sure it hasn't got a soggy bottom. I know Connor doesn't. So, lots to get through. Next up in our big question, is the press too hard on Meghan Markle? See you in 2.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
we're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Big reaction to my big opinion monologue. Sammy in our digital team is currently putting together a clip of the big opinion monologue, which you can watch on Twitter at GB News. But a quick instant response from Toby. Hi, Mark. I'm a very proud Brit. I love seeing the flag being strewn across the country. And honestly, I believe it should be more visible throughout the country and not just on special events. Since Brexit, we've seen a number of dissenters in regards to the flag, and I believe that we should display it across the country. Toby, thank you so much for that. Anne says, Mark, I love you more after that wonderful speech you just gave. And that is a lovely message from Anne, who's also done some Union Jack flags and a cake and a little glass of what looks like champagne. So thank you, Anne, for that one. Is it wrong to be patriotic, asks Joanne. Absolutely not. And she sends me an emoji picture with a heart just like that. How lovely. Well, straight back at you, lovely lady. Thank you, Joanne. You should be patriotic to your country of birth and or the country you live in, says Dave. And Alison says, Mark, the gentleman was right. It's Great Britain. When guests say English, it passes an insult to us Scots, Northern Irish and Welsh. Great Britons have invented and prospered in this country for the people's benefit. Well, thank you so much for that, Alison. Keep those emails coming. Mark at gbnews.uk. With us live in the studio is the Queen of US showbiz, political, and most importantly tonight, royal reporting. It is Kinsey Schofield. Hey, Kinsey.
So good to be here.
You look even more fabulous in real life.
Oh, well, I love you. Thank you for saying that.
3 dimensions of the Schofield. That's almost too much for me.
It is in my Big Bird dress, I can imagine. But, you know, I'm so excited to be here. You know, I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, well,
I've loved you forever, and this is amazing.
Well, you're obviously a lady of very little taste, but God bless you for that. You were at the Derby today.
I was. I saw Zara. I have no idea who we bet on or anything else. I was just so excited to see royals in real life. Yeah. And it was a very, very good day.
How does she shape up in the flesh, Zara?
Glorious. I might start a Zara website next.
Well, that's right, because, of course, you created the To Die For Daily website. When did your interest in the British royals begin?
Oh, I was a little girl. I just loved Princess Diana when I was a little girl, and she was just effortlessly beautiful.
Now, you'll forgive my terrible mathematics, but were you born when she was around? I can't imagine you were. Or how old were you when she sadly died? Do you know roughly?
Oh, I don't like those mathematics.
Yeah.
So I will tell you I was young.
Right, yeah. But so she was around when she was on your radar.
Yes.
This English princess.
And I couldn't understand why Prince Charles would reject the most beautiful woman in the world. I was obsessed with that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us would share a similar emotion. What was it about Diana that enchanted you?
Her kindness, she's very compassionate, and just her effortless beauty. And, you know, she was a young woman that married her prince, and I think all American young girls are, you know, they're into that idea.
She obviously is gone. It's a tragedy for the nation and for her family. She couldn't be replaced, but following her passing, who has been your focus in terms of the royals? Who is your new royal hero?
Obviously, I love the Duchess of Cambridge. Obviously, she is perfection. I almost started a blog, though, called In Defense of Meghan Markle, but that I dropped that idea.
Was that a doomed project?
Yeah, I dropped
Did you lose
that
funding
idea.
for that?
The pilot was not picked up. I decided to go in a different direction when they chose to leave the royal.
That's the odd thing about Meghan Markle, because when she arrived on the scene, British newspaper journalists were salivating because they thought this is the new Diana. They liked Kate, but they thought she was a bit dull, slightly anodyne. And Meghan Markle was the answer to their prayers. It was only over time that the relationship soured.
Right. No, Meghan was loved charity. She was heavily involved in charity. The idea of a divorced woman actually getting to marry a prince is really exciting, because obviously Wallis Simpson, there were issues there, and so what
is it with you Americans? You create a lot of trouble.
We're just ruining everything.
What I'm worried about, I hope you don't catch Prince Edward's eye while you're here. We'll have another drama.
I hope so too.
I was going to say Andrew's single, but I think we'll leave well alone when it comes to that. Not good enough for you, Kinsey. Well, look, this takes us to the big question, in which we tackle a major news story of the day. And of course, the royals are in the news for the next few days, are they not? And they have been, of course. So let's do the big question. Following the arrival of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan in the UK, there's been a predictable focus on the body language between the two brothers, William and Harry. But what of Harry's wife, Meghan Markle? Did she get the red carpet welcome some believes she deserves? Particularly as today sees the birthday of her youngest daughter, Lilibet, named, of course, after Queen Elizabeth II, and who is one today. Does the wife of the Queen's grandson deserve better treatment than being given second-row action at the Jubilee celebrations, sitting behind the major royals? Is that an insult to Meghan Markle? Notwithstanding the recriminations between the Windsors and the Sussexes in the last couple of years, is the press too hard on Meghan Markle, and does Britain have it in for this young royal? Should we forgive and forget and welcome this woman back to our lives? Well, to debate this, as well as lovely Kinsey and my panel, I'm delighted to welcome a former close personal friend of Meghan Markle, someone who introduced her to the British showbiz scene before she met Harry. It's TV presenter and model Lizzie Cundy. Hi, Lizzie.
Hello, Mark. Fantastic show and loving your dicky bow.
Well, look, thank you for that. I hope it's the right size.
It's wonderful, darling. And look, I'm being very patriotic. Got my flag and my tiara.
Oh, well, look, we had some great photos of you earlier as well, celebrating the Jubilee celebrations. I know you've been very busy the last few days, Lizzie. Thank you for making the time to join us. Are the British press too hard on Meghan Markle?
No, not at all, Mark. As you said earlier, when she arrived, when she first met Harry, the press adored her. She had more positive press than ever Kate did. In fact, it was on par with Diana. And as you said, we hoped she was going to be the next Princess Diana. We absolutely adored her. She was so refreshing, young, a little edgy. And the press just adored her and loved, because Harry was, let's be honest, our favourite royal back then. Happy for him because he looked, so in love. They really were smitten with each other, and we're all so excited for her. So I can't agree with that, Mark. I'm afraid celebrity life is, very different from being a celebrity princess to a royal princess. It's very different. And she didn't want to do the hard work. I think she thought it'd be a lot easier, and they wanted the titles but didn't want to do the work, and you can't have your cake and eat it, I'm afraid.
She arrived in the UK a relative nobody, and you were extremely generous towards her. How did you actually meet Meghan? Because she came over to the UK, she'd been in Suits, which was not really a show particularly watched in this country.
No. And Mark, I didn't know who she was, and I was told to look after her. And I was really upset because I wanted to be with my friends. I was like, who's this American actress? Didn't know who she was. But I did take her into my bosom, shall I say. And, you know, she wanted to get on in the UK. She wanted to get work in the UK. She liked the sound of Made in Chelsea, the show. And she wanted to find a British boyfriend. So, of course, I was there to help and advise the best way I could. And we really hit it off, I have to say. She was a real girl's girl, taking selfies, great fun. But little did we know she'd win the lottery ticket and meet Harry. And it all, you know, she met him quite soon after we met. So it was quite something.
Was there a dark side to this young woman? Did you see any clues to the alleged control freak that she is, someone that goes round ghosting her nearest and dearest? Did you see any of that?
Well, Mark, I'll be honest, I saw someone that was determined to get on. She told me she liked politics. I can see now that I think she's going to go for one of the Obamas. She likes to be, you know, have a career in that way. I really feel that's the way forward for her. But she was just, you know, wanted to get on. There's nothing wrong with that, Mark. But she was quite pushy. She asked out a lot of journalists for lunch. One of my friends, I remember saying, God, this Meghan girl won't leave me alone and wants to get out there, you know. So let's be honest. No, you know, she played the press when she wanted it, and you can't just suddenly say, "Oh, I don't like it," and whinge and moan. I mean, that African tour, when she did her interview, she just seemed to say, you know, why isn't anyone asking about me? What about me? We'd never heard a royal before complain, openly moan like Meghan, and I'm afraid she's lost sympathy. She should have come. I really do believe if she was coming to this Jubilee with one big apology, a royal apology to the Queen, because all these interviews they're doing, you know, and they're not truths, Mark, you know, saying there's alleged racists in the royal family. Very upsetting for the Queen, who just lost her husband, and they're saying they want their privacy, yet they're doing interview with Netflix, or should I say Notflix, around the corner. The royals are too scared to talk to them because they're worried it's going to end up on one of their shows or in Harry's memoirs that he's writing. So it's not very fair, it's not loyal, and they need to take a leaf out of the Queen's book to have loyalty, dignity and a sense of duty.
She's ruthlessly dropped key people from her life, people that have been very generous to her. To name but three, her own father, Thomas Markle, who has sadly suffered a stroke. I don't think she's been out to visit him. Piers Morgan, the broadcaster, was generous to her in her early days as well in this country. He was swiftly dropped when she met Harry. And the same fate befell you. She let you go too.
She did, Mark. But look, I understand it. As I said, the world of celebrity is very different to the royal world. I wasn't that shocked. But, yeah.
Disappointed?
You know, I was disappointed, yeah, Mark, of course. And I would have liked to have gone to the wedding. Felt I had a role in that somehow with helping her along the way.
Well, Lizzie, you could have caught the bouquet.
I really could have. You know what? I would have. I would have elbowed my way to it. Exactly, Mark. But look, it is what it is. But we can't say the press have been hard. They have made their own bed. I could tell on Harry's face, I don't think he's made the right decision, but they want their privacy. So you know what? Stay on your California beach, do yoga, eat avocados, and stop moaning. And then saying, you know, we want to be private, yet keep doing the interviews. It's not fair.
Kinsey, a fragile young woman in the global spotlight. The press are being a little harsh on her.
Well, I have to tell you, in America, it's a completely different story. You do not see these pages and pages of negative stories. The entertainment shows, Entertainment Tonight, Extra, Access Hollywood, they all cater to the Sussexes because they're desperate for those bombshell interviews. So you do not see the negative media in America the way you do here. So while she can complain all day long about the UK being so heavy and nasty to her, her life in America is pretty great, and the coverage she gets in America is pretty great. They are very flattering towards her because they're so desperate for access to her. So it's a much different situation in America. What
do you think, Kinsey? You are a keen student of royal history. Do you think this woman is being treated harshly in the way that Wallis Simpson was in the 1920s?
I think that, I don't. Diana had negative press too. They said that Diana had all of Prince Charles's staff fired, and they called her crazy. So Meghan is not the first person to have to go through this difficult path, but she's acting like she is, and I think that that's just gasoline on an open fire to pretend that you are this martyr and that you're the first person to have to deal with such, something so traumatic. It's not true.
If ever I record an album, a music album, I'm going to call it Gasoline on an Open Fire. How poetic Kinsey Schofield is. Tom, can we bring my panel in? Because I'd love to hear the thoughts of Chris Akabusi and Connor Tomlinson as well. Connor, do you think the British press have been a little harsh on Meghan Markle, even racist?
Oh, absolutely not racist, and she's made up a bunch of bogus claims to get 10 seconds worth of spotlight time with Oprah Winfrey, who herself has gone appallingly woke in recent years anyway, despite previously telling Donald Trump to run for president, which is quite a hilarious bite in the backside. I think Meghan Markle is a sort of piñata for the British press, much like many celebrities have been for the tabloids in the history. I think, unfortunately, they've beaten her so much that she's run out of candy, and it's not like it's unwarranted. She clearly has, not to the Amber Heard degree, mind you, but Prince Harry's crown jewels lodged safely in her purse, and for a couple who want a lot of privacy, they're doing Netflix, children's books, memoirs, cringeworthy adverts the other day, and a Disney deal, which, perplexingly, Harry was standing 10 feet behind her like he wasn't invited to the party and she just dragged him on a leash or something. I think at this point, Meghan's quite so desperate for attention that she's one racy photo away from starting an OnlyFans. She's so in need of the spotlight. But I do think the British press, I think they're running their mileage out on it, because I think plenty of people, me included, are kind of bored of the circus.
Chris Akabusi, what do you think about Meghan Markle? A heroine in the States and, I don't know, public enemy number one here in the UK?
I don't know if she's public enemy number one over in the UK. I think there's going to be diverse opinions across the country. Look, look, I don't read the press on Meghan Markle. What I see is a young woman who may have had a rosy picture of what it was to be the princess. She's realised it's not what it's made up to be as far as she's concerned. And she's getting on. Kinsey said that in the United States of America, the press she's getting over there is completely different to the press she gets over here. If we don't want to see her on our newspapers, stop writing about her. Why are we writing about her? Just leave her alone. You've got a lot of young women who will be looking at Meghan Markle and getting the idea, if you want to own your brand and own your identity, you can get slapped about a bit because you're trying to be who you are. Let her crack on. Let her do what she's doing. Don't write about it. Leave her alone. And I'm really happy that Harry seems to love his wife and has decided that he's going to stand by her, because you do see often that happen on the other way round, where a man makes his moves, he does his thing, and his wife stays with him. So, look, I don't read the back pages, I don't read the magazines, I'm not really into Meghan bashing. I see a young couple, they've made the decision, they live over outside of the pond, they're trying to make their way. Kinsey's telling me, what I heard her say there is, they are well received over there. Crack on.
Queen Elizabeth Cundy, your reaction to that? Stop writing about her. Perhaps we should have a rule on this programme. It's a Markle-free zone.
But then this is so hypocritical. She's the one doing all the interviews. She's the one that said she wanted privacy. Well, it's just a joke. If you want privacy, as I said, go on the beach, eat avocados, do your yoga. Stop doing all the interviews. She doesn't stop. So
but why should she? But Lizzie,
Lizzie, really, let's be honest. Her father's had a stroke. The right thing would have been to go to his side, and put all of that behind her and be with her father. She said she didn't want to be a royal. When they said they were coming over, they wanted more money for protection, going on, doing every interview she can do. They've got the Netflix around making all the royals very nervous. He's doing a book. So come on, what the press to do? They're doing it.
Lizzie, come on, Lizzie. Are you telling me, so if she hadn't come across over here now, and Lilibet hadn't presented Lilibet to the Queen, are you going to tell me there wouldn't have been another storm about her being, I don't know how they would have catered up. You're already seeing now that she went to this... Pardon me?
This is about our Queen. This is about our Queen, not about them.
Lizzie, that's not the question. You've not answered the question.
It's all about the Queen.
Lizzie, you're not answering the question. Lizzie, you've not answered the question, Lizzie.
They didn't want to be royals anymore.
Okay,
they were the ones that said they didn't want to be royals. They didn't want to. So you can't have your cake and eat
Lizzie,
it.
answer the question. What do you think the press would have said if she hadn't come across it on the first birthday of her daughter, the Queen's granddaughter? How do you think that would have been twisted?
Because they're actually saying, why hasn't the Queen seen Lilibet before now? Why have they waited a whole year? The Queen hasn't seen her
So you've not answered the question again.
How bad? That is pretty bad.
And Chris Akabusi, why did they steal the pet name of the Queen, Lilibet, without asking her permission?
So look, Mark, I'm not here to defend Meghan Markle. The answer is, I do not know. That's a family issue. I'm sure the Queen and the Prince, and they've got that. I don't want to get into that one. Sure. All I'm saying right here, right now, is that you've got a young lady trying to own her brand, and she's communicating herself. In America, it goes down well. In the United Kingdom, leave her alone. If you're not interested, leave her alone.
This is so hypocritical. She talks and said lies about, Harry's family, about Kate. In the interview, saying there's alleged racist in the family. All of this, of course the press are going to write about it. I mean, it's quite awful what she said and done about the royals. And it's very hurtful for the Queen, who had just lost her husband. I thought it was really unkind. And, for me, it's all about the attention, all about what Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
And you're right, Lizzie. I think there's earning your brand and there's hijacking the royal brand. And it seems like the Sussexes, even in America, are hijacking the royal brand. If you want to be Meghan Markle of the TIG, then go be Meghan Markle of the TIG. But they are hijacking the royal brand and monetizing off of it. And I think that is leaving a bad taste in people's mouths.
Final thoughts on this, Lizzie Cundy. What do you think, Lizzie? You know Meghan Markle well. In fact, you know lots of the royals. What do you think is the future for Harry and Meghan in this country? Will we ever find peace with this couple? Will they ever find peace with us?
No, I don't think so, Mark. You could see the rift between his brother, Prince William, today. You can just feel it in the Thanksgiving. They were separated. Seats are back. There's obviously an atmosphere there between them because obviously, Meghan hasn't spoken nicely about Kate and all what Harry's doing, writing his memoirs. Can you believe it? What's going to be next? So I think it's going to be very difficult. I think there needs to be an apology and they need to do the right thing by the royal family and for the Queen and for the country.
Lizzie Cundy, great to hear your voice and have you back on the show. Lizzie Cundy back in the studio, I'm excited to say, on July the 9th on our panel. A very, very happy Jubilee celebration to you, Lizzie. Oh, what's this? Blimey. Well, you're going to have to throw it, Faye. Something's happening in the studio. Are you feeling brave? Look! I caught the bouquet! Lizzie, I'll introduce you to your future husband after the show. There we are. Many thanks, Lizzie. See you in July. And, of course, thanks to my panel. What do you think? Are the press too hard on Meghan Markle? Coming up later in the hour, what has happened to Simon Cowell's face? Plus, my Mark Meets guest is TV and fitness legend Diana Moran. Now, we've asked you, are the press too hard on Meghan Markle via Twitter? 18.4% say yes. The press are too hard on her. 81.8% say no. Well, it's all about opinions. Keep them coming. mark@gbnews.uk. We don't do boring. Not on my watch. I just won't have it. Next up, Simon Cowell's face.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
We do have, honestly, some wonderful horticulture in this studio. These have been hand tended to by Colin Brazier, no less. He waters this 3 times a week. There you are. Now, lots to get through in the next hour and 15 minutes. My Mark Meets guest is TV and fitness legend, the amazing Diana Moran. She's live in the studio. She's in her 80s. She'll talk about fame, about still being amazingly physically fit and surviving cancer. Also in the next hour, is the evil stepmother a myth? We'll be talking about the challenge facing step families in this country. A couple of emails before we move on to our news agenda. Plus, on Meghan Markle, Maria says, Mark, the Brits can spot a fake, and Meghan is just that. She also has a permanent smirk on her face. She's not fit to be royal. Hilary says, Mark, I do not think we're too hard on Meghan Markle. Enough said. How about this in regards to Meghan? My God, Meghan is not royal, never will be, says an anonymous emailer. And on patriotism, Gautam says Britain is Great Britain because of its people. They are decent, kind, generous, accommodating, and most importantly, very modest. They demonstrate their patriotism by sincerely nurturing these qualities. They do not call themselves great, but others have positive experience and call them just that. Very nicely put. Keep the emails coming, mark at gbnews.uk. Now, music guru Simon Cowell's face stole the show as he appeared on ITV's This Morning this week, with fans asking on social media if it was actually melting. Many viewers were left confused, questioning what the 62-year-old had actually done to it. Now, the X Factor legend openly admits that he has gone too far with some treatments in the past and vowed never to have Botox again. But is that too little, too late? What is the art of plastic surgery? When is too much plastic surgery too much plastic surgery? Let's speak to one of the leading experts in this field, New York's finest plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Westreich. Dr. Westreich, welcome to GB News.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Westreich, I know it's difficult for you to comment on someone else's appearance, given that they are not a patient of yours, but do you have a thought on Mr. Cowell and any work he may or may not have had done?
Well, I definitely think he's admitted to doing certain things, and there definitely has been speculation about other procedures having been done in the past. Looking at his photos throughout the years, there's certainly a possibility that at some point he had a neck lift, which for extra skin in the neck. There's a period of time he had some incisions and scars around the ear. I believe he's also admitted to doing what's called thread lifts, which I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but they basically put a barbed suture in your skin on the face or the neck and then basically use that fish hook to kind of pull up your skin and anchor it. So That I know he's done. He's admitted to it. But in addition, he's also admitted to doing Botox and fillers. And I think a lot of what's going on with him is from that. From what I can tell, it certainly seems like he's overdone in a variety of places. And I think what happens is when you get overdone, you just get so severely out of balance that it sort of brings an almost grotesque type of appearance. Keep in mind, there is always a possibility that he could be on some kind of medication, like high-dose steroids or something else for a while, and that also can kind of change the way your shape looks. So there is a possibility that there's some other factor adding into this.
Do you think that Mr. Cowell, who is, of course, a very illustrious and talented man, and a great-looking guy, really, very charismatic, do you think that he may be the victim of too much plastic surgery or the wrong plastic surgery?
Certainly. I think what happens typically, and I believe actually celebrities often get treated worse than non-celebrities because the providers have a pressure to treat. When a celebrity is coming into your office, you don't want to say no. They'll just go to the next office. And so you kind of always say yes, whereas maybe to somebody who wasn't a celebrity, you might say, I don't really think that's a good idea. And so I do believe there are circumstances in which celebrities don't get better medical treatment as a result of those extra pressures. But I definitely believe that, he's done too many things, specifically in terms of the filler. I mean, the Botox goes away eventually if you just stop. But filler can be a little tricky. When you've had a lot of filler, it sometimes doesn't go away. It kind of sticks around. And even when you try and inject a dissolving agent, sometimes it doesn't really dissolve. So it can be really tricky. And I would say, from what I can tell, this central portion of his face, and that's usually done to try and rejuvenate the appearance of the lower eyelids.
This is you in action, am I right?
That is me in action, yes.
I've got to say, your clients look fantastic. I'm going to be jumping on a plane over to New York. You are one of New York's leading plastic surgeons with happy clients. Do you find yourself saying no as often as you say yes to their requests?
I wouldn't say it's as often, but I do say no with great frequency. One of the things that I believe, and it's sort of proven by being a surgeon, because when you do surgery, most patients come back to see you about a week later. Those patients that come back a week later have already forgotten, in most instances, what they looked like a week earlier. I think that your brain is very quick to kind of relearn what it thinks you look like. And so what I think happens to people is they get filler, their brain believes that this is their new normal, and then when 5% of that filler goes away, they think that they need more filler. So then they come back asking for more filler. And what I do with patients is I always show them old photos. It's always good to remember where you started, because a lot of times you forget. And so when they see the old photos, I can very easily say, it may not be 100%, but I think it's not something that you should treat right now because it's going to wind up being too much. And they're usually very appreciative.
Let's bring my panel in on this. None of them need any work. Kinsey, because she's already gorgeous. Connor, because he's about 17. And Chris Akabusi, because he's about as perfect a specimen as you will find. Chris, do you think plastic surgery is a bad thing?
Each to their own. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. A couple of cliches there. I think it's vain. But I do understand why people go down that road. We are a youth-orientated culture, and people who are in my age category, certainly, but people half my age are doing that. So I'm 63. People in their 30s are doing it. I know that for sure. Feel that that's the way they want to go. But there's a law of diminishing returns. And no matter what you do, when you get to my age, you're never going to look like you did when you were 30. And Mr. Cowell, who's the subject of discussion right here, right now, my friend, you do not look like you did when you were 30. You look like a guy who's been a few rounds with Mike Tyson, and you haven't come off very well. I mean, some of the pictures you're showing there, it's just absolutely catastrophic. And I feel sorry for the person.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, do you think when you start to sort of show signs of ageing, you know, in about 2078, would you consider plastic surgery?
I wouldn't. I think my liver's showing signs of ageing, and definitely the worry lines on my forehead after the last 2 years of lockdown. I think Chris hit on a really important point here. It's a lot about vanity, and I think, to use another cliche, growing old gracefully cannot be understated. The point that you're beautiful and in the most exuberant time in your youth, you're at the peak of your attractiveness, is so you can find someone like-minded, settle down, have a family, and then when you're older, when you've got your family around you, you're not looking for adoration from the outside world, from social media, from the wider crowd gratification. Instead, you care more about whether or not you're raising your kids right and the community you build at home. And I think a lot of these people, the sort of vapid Hollywood celebrity culture, you see a lot of the reason their relationships break down. I mean, look at Madonna, for example. She sold herself on sex appeal in the 80s, and now at her mid-60s, she looks like she's been stung to death by bees. She's had so much work done. I think you've got to have some humility at some point to say, calm it down on the surgeries.
And of course, Kinsey Schofield is perfect as she is. More contributions from my panel in the next hour. My sincere thanks to Dr. Richard Westreich. His website is newfaceny.com. That's newfaceny.com. Richard, thanks for joining us. Catch up soon. Lots more to come. Keep it Mark Dolan tonight.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 10 o'clock and this is Mark Dolan tonight, a Jubilee special celebrating 7 decades of Queen Elizabeth II. My Mark Meets guest is showbiz royalty, fitness icon Diana Moran. We'll talk about her incredible TV and modelling career and surviving cancer and what's next for this amazing, huge British national treasure. In the news agenda with my panel, the great scone debate. Is it scone or scone? Is it jam or cream first? And also, is the evil stepmother a myth? We'll be talking about the challenges of step families. Reacting to those stories and tomorrow's papers at 10:30 are my fantastic panel of Chris Akabusi, Connor Tomlinson and Kinsey Schofield. First up, the headlines with Bethany.
Thanks, Mark. I am Bethany Elsey in the GB newsroom. Queen and Adam Lambert have opened the Platinum Party at the Palace concert to celebrate Her Majesty's 70 years on the throne. More than 30 members of the royal family have gathered at Buckingham Palace to watch the event, but Prince Harry and Meghan, whose daughter Lilibet is celebrating her first birthday, aren't among those in the royal box. Diana Ross, Rod Stewart are both among those set to perform in front of a crowd of 22,000. The Duke of Cambridge has also taken to the stage to pay tribute to the Queen for her hope for the future of the planet. The Queen isn't attending that concert, and she also missed Derby Day at Epsom today. Princess Anne represented the monarch, who's been experiencing mobility problems. The Queen watched the event on TV from Windsor Castle. 40 of the Queen's jockeys, past and present, lined up in a guard of honour for the royal party ahead of the races, with Desert Crown winning. The race was delayed due to pro-vegan climate activists who ran onto the track. In other news, Ukraine says it's recaptured areas of the battlefield in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. It's the first time Kyiv claimed to have launched a big counterattack in the strategic city, which Moscow has been targeting for days. The governor of Luhansk said Russia has been blowing up bridges across the area's main river to prevent Ukrainians from bringing in military reinforcements. Ukrainian authorities say they've taken back control of around half of the city. And it's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko has died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun has died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled he was one of 2 men who poisoned Mr. Litvinenko at a hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Back here in the UK, flight delays and cancellations at airports across the country over the half-term has continued today as EasyJet cancelled at least 20 flights. The budget airline also confirmed dozens of flights were delayed at London's Gatwick Airport. EasyJet apologised and said passengers were informed either last week or overnight of their options to rebook or receive a refund. British Airways, Wizz Air and Vueling also cancelled or delayed flights from Gatwick. On TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now let's get back to Mark Dolan.
Welcome to Mark Dolan tonight. Big stories, big guests, big opinions, and this weekend a big celebration of Queen Elizabeth II and her 7 decades on the throne. In the news agenda with my panel, the great scone debate. Is it scone or scone? And is it jam or cream first? Or butter? Also, we'll talk about the evil stepmother. Is that a myth? We'll discuss the challenges of step families. Reacting to those stories and many more, including the papers live at 10:30, are Olympic legend Chris Akabusi, political commentator Connor Tomlinson, and live in the studio all the way from sunny California, the Queen of US showbiz, political and royal reporting, Kinsey Schofield. Plus, this hour we'll play a game show based around the Queen's travels, and a hair and fashion expert, James Johnson, will join us in the studio to discuss royal style over the Jubilee weekend. And don't forget, tomorrow's papers at 10:30. But first, it's time for Mark Meets. Yes, indeed, it's time for Mark Meets, in which I speak to the biggest names in the world of politics, showbiz, sport, business and beyond. Tonight, journalist, model, TV presenter and fitness guru, the green goddess herself, Diana Moran. In the 60s and the 70s, Diana was a print and catwalk model as well as TV newsreader. She achieved national treasure status as host of the now iconic exercise segment of BBC One's Breakfast Time programme. I break out in a sweat just thinking about it. In 1988, Diana was diagnosed with breast cancer and has since become a breast cancer advocate for the Breast Cancer Campaign and other breast cancer charities. Notwithstanding her impressive vintage, but it's just a number, folks. She recently told the Daily Express newspaper that sex gets better with age. Here's hoping. Well, the eternally youthful Diana Moran certainly gets better with age herself, and she joins me now. Hi, Diana.
Hello, Mark.
It's great to see you. Have you always been interested in fitness?
Always. I was a very long-legged youngster in the West Country.
I know the feeling.
And yes.
A blessing and a curse.
Does everybody know how tall you are? 6'5".
Here are the legs. Look at that.
And I had brothers and boy cousins, just a little bit older than me, but anything they could do, I thought I could do as well. And so I was very competitive and very sporty from a very early age.
And you were a model and a news broadcaster and then a TV presenter. Was any of this planned?
None of it was planned. I was actually, what you haven't mentioned, I was actually a personnel and welfare officer.
So, well, that's interesting.
That was my career.
That was your actual career.
Yes.
So how did you get your break into broadcasting?
Strange things happen. Where I was doing my personnel and welfare work was a very large department store in the West Country. And one day they were going to do a very prestigious fashion show, and one of the buyers said, "Hey, you with your long legs, you can be one of our models." I was seen by HTV, my station back west, and I then started working for them, making commercials and programmes and things. Then I had a throat operation, a partial thyroidectomy, had to go out of vision. But my friend, as she now is, Kate Adie,
oh yes,
the broadcaster,
amazing war correspondent,
had just come back from university, starting at BBC Radio Bristol, and she said, "Come on, come and be one of my contributors." And that's how I really got into broadcasting.
So you had a throat operation and you had a scar, which is why you couldn't be in vision.
Exactly, yes.
I see. And you clearly recovered from that procedure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then the scar went and eventually you were in vision. How did that gig on BBC Breakfast Time come about?
Well, by then, HTV, or TWW, Television Wales and the West, I was working with them, working with Radio Bristol as well, both on part-time. And then HTV said, "We want to do some afternoon programmes," very new at the time. "We know that you're interested in clothes and women issues and things like that. Why don't you also do, because we know that you go to Butlins on a Thursday afternoon to do Keep Fit with all the holiday mates, why don't you come and do some of that on the programme?" I did that for 3 years. Let me just tell you, though, I said to them, "What do you want me to wear? The red?" And they said, "Can't do Butlins on..." No. They said, what? So I came to London and I found yellow. That's my favourite colour, yellow.
Oh, that's convenient.
I came off air and the first time and they said, "Diana, you can't wear that again. You look like a large prancing canary."
Oh, dear.
So I went back...
Like Big Bird from Sesame Street.
Yes, exactly, all of that. So I went back and I got coffee colour, very elegant. I came off air the second time. They said, "You definitely can't wear that. You look naked on screen. What other colour is there?" And I said, "There's this terrible green."
Yeah.
And that was it. And then, of course, the BBC pinched me from that programme. Yeah. And they went back to HTV and they said, "Here, dish the dirt on this bird." And the press office said, "Oh, that's Diana, our goddess, our green goddess." That was it.
That was it. You had your moniker. And how did it change your life appearing on breakfast TV at that time? Because breakfast TV in the 80s was massive, wasn't it?
It was huge. And of course, we were the first station to go on air. Yeah. There was this race as to who's going to go on first. Frank Boff, Selena Scott.
Brilliant. What a double act.
Oh, it was just wonderful. And I said to them, "Look, I live in the West Country. I can't come up to London every day." They said, "Don't worry, darling. We'll record you on a Sunday at the BBC in Bristol." I never, ever recorded there. The first day they had me at Waterloo Station, coming in sort of poised on the front of a train, coming into the station, and it just took off. And I went everywhere. I was with the Army, the Navy, old people in care homes, little children at school. It was wonderful, and it totally changed my life.
Indeed, and you've always embodied the message about health and fitness, which is a message that couldn't be more important in 2022.
You're right.
And I've got to say, it's sad to say, isn't it, that as a nation, we're not in great shape, are we?
Not at all.
Things haven't improved since the 80s.
Do you know, I came back, I live somewhere near Staines, and I had been there this morning, and as I was driving home, I honestly think probably every sixth person was rather a large person, and I thought to myself, my message, get Britain fit, obviously didn't get through.
Yeah, what do you think's happened?
Fast food.
Yeah.
And a rather more lazy way of living. I mean, for example, I was brought up in the country. We walked to school over the fields every day in our Wellington boots. Mum and Dad didn't have cars to take us here, there and everywhere. And what we wanted to do when we'd finished school was to play. I was up with my brothers up the trees, in and out of little
mud,
lakes and things like this, jumping around
swamps
all the time, yes, and eating good food. Scones with the jam first.
Jam first, then double cream, clotted cream.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
And you look incredible. You're a stunningly beautiful woman, still the green goddess. Am I allowed to even hint to our audience your age?
I've got a birthday next Saturday.
Shall we just say that it's got the word 8 in it?
It's more than that.
Yeah, and that's remarkable.
It's got a 3 in it as well.
So you're going to be 83?
Yes, yes.
You look 60?
Oh, I like it.
What's your secret?
Being fairly energetic and enthusiastic. And if my 2 sons are watching, they'll be laughing because they're in their 60s.
Well, there you go. Well, look, you probably make them look old, frankly, by comparison. You did have a brush with ill health.
Oh, I certainly did.
In the 80s, breast cancer. Thank God you survived it. Tell us about the moment you received that diagnosis. Devastating.
I was working with Breakfast Time and somebody medically inclined said to me, would I be a guinea pig for trials for HRT, hormone replacement therapy, that was just coming in from the UK, from the US.
Yeah.
And I said, oh yes, I'm as fit as a fiddle, I can do that. I went to have the necessary checks and I said, oh, I don't need checking, I'm really, really fit. And they said, yes, you do. One of the checks was a mammogram. And they rang me a couple of days later and they said, we think you might have moved. And of course, I hadn't moved. And when I went back, they said, you actually have breast cancer, and in both breasts as well.
A devastating diagnosis. And of course, the prognosis was not as optimistic as it would be now.
No.
Because cancer treatment is phenomenal. I think over 50% of cancer diagnoses can be resolved and send you into remission.
Yeah.
In the 80s, a different story.
It was a different story, but I was fortunate in that working in London, they had sent me to a London hospital, and the Royal Marsden Hospital I cannot speak well enough of, the cancer hospital, and I had excellent attention.
And you're still with us to tell the story. 2 things. Will you join us on the panel on a future occasion?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd be delighted.
Because we'd love to get your opinions.
Opinionated.
Well, yes, and you're allowed to have an opinion because you're not at the Beeb anymore.
Oh, yeah, I see, all right.
So you've been uncensored, and I look forward to that. We must welcome you back. So Tom will arrange that straight after the show. And the other question is, what is next for you? You've got a big birthday coming up, but you're still in broadcasting. You're still a fitness guru. So what's next? What do you want to do next?
What I want to do is something you don't know about. I'm a painter. I'm an avid painter, and COVID was brilliant for me. It did 2 things. First of all, the BBC said, Diana, can you not come back, but can you get into your conservatory and can you start making Keep Fit videos, which I did.
Brilliant.
The care homes then said, would you do one for our care home? Would you do one for somebody else? But it also gave me time to get the easel out, to get my paints out. I've done about 100 paintings through COVID, big ones.
And what's your style? Are you an impressionist or do you do almost photographic style?
No. I'm more of an impressionist. If I can sit outside, then it's a very impressionistic. But equally, I do animals, birds, dogs, cats, and love doing things.
So that's your great calling.
Oh,
Do you sell any of your work?
Ask my agent.
Yeah, we should do that. Is there a website or anything like that?
There is a website.
Oh, what's the website?
www.goddessart.co.uk.
You heard it here first, goddessart.co.uk. Check it out. A quick word, the clock's against us, but we've got you booked in now, all committed, because it's a verbal contract, to join us on the panel. A quick word on the Queen. She's, well, you're like a little girl next to her, age-wise. But what is your verdict on this lady, 7 decades on the throne?
Exemplary. Fantastic. And the photographs that have been coming out in the last couple of days, she looks so happy, doesn't she?
She really does. She's beaming.
She's got her family around her. She's relaxed. Quite right that she doesn't physically have to go to everything now. Yeah. My goodness me, what an effort that must be for her. But she's loving it. Yeah. Loving meeting her family again and the general public.
Getting that recognition she so deserves.
Oh, she certainly does.
Well, from the Queen of the United Kingdom to the Queen of Fitness and Showbiz, it's been great to have you, Diana Moran.
Mark, I've really enjoyed it.
Yes,
Thank you.
Can't wait to get you back in the studio to hear those opinions, of which there are many, many thanks to Diana Moran. Lots more to come. In fact, we're going to focus on the Queen's style next. We have James Johnson coming in the studio. He is a hair and fashion expert. We'll look at the style stakes across all of the royals over the last few days, and a particular look at the Queen's style over the decades. Plus, we've got the papers at 10:30 and another very special Royal Great British Game Show. See you shortly.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Are the press too hard on Meghan Markle? Your emails are coming in thick and fast. Hi, Mark. No, the press are not tough enough. Ignore her completely and do not print any articles about her and Harry. We don't want to know about them and don't want them back ever. They chose not to be part of the royal family. Take their titles off them and move on. We have all the important royals and don't need them. And hello, Kinsey. Lovely to have you here. You are one of our favourite Americans. That's a very good question, actually. Is Kinsey Schofield the greatest American? We'll discuss that later in the show. But let's talk about some great Brits now, especially our Queen. It was meant to be all about the Queen this weekend as she celebrated her Jubilee. And of course, she looked fantastic. But it seems the Duchess of Cambridge has turned heads herself. Kate Middleton, who Kinsey was talking about earlier, stunned the crowds when she arrived at St Paul's Cathedral for the service of Thanksgiving in this lovely yellow dress. Even GB News' very own Darren Grimes tweeted about it. Those who say perfection doesn't exist clearly haven't cast their eyes upon the Duchess of Cambridge. That tweet was liked by over 40,000 people. Royal fashion always hits the headlines, and this weekend has been no different. So I'm delighted to say we're joined now by celebrity hairstylist and fashion guru, which means I'm in trouble, James Johnson, who has worked with the likes of Mel B, Katie Price and Gemma Collins. Let's have a look back at some of the Queen's greatest moments and what we thought of the style over the course of this particular Jubilee. James, welcome to GB News.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. First of all, the Queen herself, is she stylish?
I think she's like perfection.
Really?
She's a great model. She's polished, perfection, all the P's. And I think what a good example for any future monarchs to...
What is it about the Queen that you would sort of consider to be stylish? I mean, is it because she's neat? Is it because she matches her outfits? What is that special sauce?
She's almost effortless in the right ways. Everything's planned. Everything's so crisp, polished. Yeah. There's not like a crease in sight. I need to get her tips, clearly. But she always gets it right, colour-wise, look-wise. I mean, look what she's got on there. How amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you take us through some of those outfits, there she is in a lovely, what would you call that? A sort of aquamarine turquoise.
Turquoisey, yeah. I mean, look at that beautiful set. She just gets it right every time.
She's obviously got an eye for colour.
Yeah.
Although she's a very dignified and sombre figure on occasion, she deploys colour, doesn't she, in her outfits?
Definitely. She lights up Buckingham Palace, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And what about the hair? Because we obviously, you know, look at that very sort of well-maintained hairdo that she's got. Do you think that she gets her hair cut regularly? How much work would go into the Queen's hair, do you think?
I think that's probably done quite a lot, but I think as well, it's probably set, it's probably, you know, done once a week, twice a week, and looked after, proper look after.
How often would the Queen need her hair cut, would you say?
Every 5 to 6 weeks, I'd say.
Really? Yeah.
Keep the shape in there, keep it nice and bouncy and full.
Would you accept the Queen as a client, as one of your in your salon? But would that be a lot of pressure, washing?
A lot of pressure. And I think we should probably change it up if I was doing it. I think extensions all the way. Let's get clip-ins in, waist length. Let's change it up.
Few highlights?
Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. Do you think that if you were washing the Queen's hair, would you ask her, would you check the temperature in advance? Would you say, is that too hot for you, ma'am?
I don't want to splash her face either.
No,
you can't.
Would you ask her where she's going on her holidays?
Yeah, I bet she has many of them. I'm quite jealous of them. But yeah, I'd ask her where she's going.
It obviously, you have worked with VIPs and you've got to get their hair right, haven't you? Whether it's the Queen or whether it's a Spice Girl, the pressure's on for a hairstylist.
Whether it's
like
royalty, our monarchy or royalty in TV, like the pressure is always on. There's been times I've had half hour to bang a hairstyle out.
Yeah.
Like, that is pressure.
Yeah, and has it ever gone wrong?
Not yet, touch wood. Just mine needs a cut. I'm looking at it now, thinking I need to take that corner off. But no, never gone wrong, touch wood.
Oh, I think your hair looks great. I wouldn't dare. I would never lecture a hairdresser on how to actually do it. I think we've got some other photos of the Queen over the years because her hair has evolved. So this is the Queen when she acceded to the throne. Describe that sort of the early look. I mean, is that a pretty straightforward hairstyle she's got?
I think it's very fashionable at the time. I think she's kept her hair short throughout the years, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it's always so perfect and just so set. Look at that.
Even when she's out and about, just walking the corgis, she obviously went grey. Do you think she was using colour in her hair before that?
I don't think so. No, I think she kept it very natural, very soft. Very beautiful.
It is remarkable. Well, let's talk about the other royals now. Kate Middleton, is she the best of the next generation?
I think so. I love Kate. I'm here for it. Even the ponytail there, just so effortless and just the way, still got volume, still textured, still nice and soft. And maybe Kate Middleton, just soft and beautiful.
Yeah. Do you think she actually has much done with her hair, or is she keeping it simple? Do you think?
I think she gets it done. Wouldn't be surprised if there's the odd extension in there. Who knows?
Really? That's a bombshell.
I mean, thicker is always better, longer, thicker and fuller. And I think, yeah, she's a great role model again. Future queen. I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah. What do you think about sort of royals showing their age when it comes to hair? I mean, that must have been a big moment when the Queen decided to go grey. That's actually a big decision for all of your clients, I would have thought. Yeah. When you accept the passing of time, when you accept the grey.
I think it's a tough one. You've got to decide whether you want to embrace it or cover it up. Yeah. But I don't think either option should be judged. If you want to cover your greys and dye your hair, go for it. If you want to embrace the grey, people pay a lot of money for grey hair in the salon.
Can I ask you, because we've talked about the ladies, we've talked about the Queen, and of course, lovely Catherine. What about the boys? Do the boys fare so well in the hairstyle stakes? I'm talking about Charles, William and Harry.
I think they've got a fair, they are balding. It is a thing. Hair transplants are on the up. I've had one done myself.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've had my fringe, I had my receding hairline filled in. So it's all personal.
How did you do that?
Oh, 8.5 hours I laid there.
Oh, would that be like a surgical procedure?
Yeah, so we were talking about plastic surgery earlier.
Yeah.
I think you're asking the wrong person because I'm all for it. But I think when it comes to balding, confidence, especially in men hair, is such a huge thing. If it makes you feel better, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, William has always been teased, hasn't he, about his hair loss, Edward as well. But, I mean, do you think that's not a course you took, but do you think that's the way to go for the future king, to be dignified and go, look, I'm just going to cut it short like that? I mean, what do you make? Where do you stand on that sort of Larry David look, where he's got some hair on the side but none on the top? Should he go the full Bruce Willis?
I think he's going with the flow, and if he's happy, he looks happy there.
What would you advise, though, if you were being honest, a bit of tough love for our future king?
I think it'd be nice to get rid of it all.
Would you take it all off?
I mean, if you can pull off a bald look, like a lot of ladies love a bald man. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and what about Harry? Because, I mean, Harry's still got the illusion of a mop, hasn't he? But it seems to be a bit like the British economy, in recession.
Yeah, but copper hair.
What's happening there? What do we make of
I think, again,
Harry's
unfortunately, he probably is balding, let's be honest. A lot of men are. But I love his hair colour. I think copper is such a beautiful colour. My mum's copper.
And this chap, from an aerial view, you would see the receding hairline, but from the front you don't, do you? So
there's powdered stuff, you can fill it in, but I don't think he's too bothered. Both of them have got beautiful wives, so they're winning.
They're not doing too badly,
They're not doing too bad at all.
Well, what about gorgeous Meghan Markle? We talked about her earlier, and we discussed whether the press are hard on her. Certainly, nature's been kind to her. She's a natural beauty, isn't she?
She is beautiful, and I think it's what she's done is bring her Hollywood style to the UK with her hairstyles. I think that's what we've kind of needed. It's lovely to see that. You compare her and Kate; they're very different in their hair.
Yeah, indeed so. And then I think we've also got... Have we got Camilla as well? Brilliant. Let's have a look at this. Camilla is my director Jake's favourite.
Oh. She's like the...
She's actually the screensaver on his iPhone, would you believe?
Is she?
Yeah.
Or has he got a little crush on her?
Just a bit.
Oh,
he likes the old lady. He prioritises wisdom over looks.
But she's keeping it beautiful as well. Soft,
well, yeah,
bouncy.
now that's another thing. Camilla, she's she had a tough gig, didn't she, replacing Diana as Prince Charles's
hair icon, fashion icon.
But the question I've got for you is whether Camilla has got it right style-wise. I mean, do you think she's going to be queen in years to come?
And it's big shoes
a long time for now. Do you think, is she ripe for a makeover before getting the top job?
I think if she just takes inspo from Her Royal Highness herself at the minute, I think she'll be perfectly fine.
Fantastic stuff. Well, look, I've got to say thank you so much for joining us. How can people find out more about what you do?
I've got Instagram. I am James Johnson. Check it out.
Brilliant stuff. And next time, can you sort me out with a makeover? Because
yeah, absolutely.
I would love to have that. Many thanks indeed to the very talented James Johnson. And we're now going, as we always do at this time in the show, straight to tomorrow's papers, and we've got some fantastic photographs and some cracking headlines. Keep those emails coming in. But it is exactly 10:30, so it's time now for the papers. And reacting to the big stories on tomorrow's front pages are Kinsey Schofield, royal and showbiz reporter. Look at that, crash zoom, like a Hollywood action movie. It's like Top Gun, isn't it? Also, political commentator and a good friend of mine, Connor Tomlinson, and everyone's friend, record-breaking 3-time Olympic athlete Chris Akabusi. It is 10:30, so let's have a look at tomorrow's papers. Hot off the press, 10:30 every Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You can set your watch to it. And let's start with The Observer. A long weekend and a carnival of memory. From Stonehenge to the Mall, Tim Adams of The Observer reflects on celebrations and poignant symbols. Also, we're the true party of patriotism, say Labour. Labour have staked a bold claim to be the true party of patriotism and the best of British values as 4 days of nationwide celebrations to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee draw to a close this evening. Of course, they are referring to tomorrow because that is tomorrow's Sunday Observer. And of course, we will have one final Jubilee special on Mark Dolan tonight from 9 tomorrow. OK, Sunday Telegraph next, and I love this photograph. Queen's tea time treat for the nation, surprise performance with Paddington Bear that not even her family knew about. And the launch of a platinum party at the Palace. The Queen last night took the world by surprise as she shared afternoon tea with none other than Paddington Bear, starring on screen with her own marmalade sandwiches as she lit up the Platinum Jubilee celebrations as only she could. Also, Mummy, you laughed and cried with us. You've been there for us. Thank you. The words of the Queen's eldest son, our next king, the Prince of Wales. The Independent next. Labour targets Johnson on levelling up agenda and Britain's changing relationship with the royals. A stunning photograph there of the Mall, Buckingham Palace and those wonderful Union flags. Let's have a look at the Sunday People now. Thriller Queen, great headline. A right royal party. Brian May opens the Jubilee gig in front of a wonderful statue of Queen Victoria. Sunday Mirror next. Brian May kicks off Platinum Party at the Palace, Rock and Royal. Nice headline. Sunday Express, have we got next, Jake? OK. Actually, I'll just give those to you live and impromptu because this is live telly, is it not? The Sunday Express have got this one, and it's a brilliant photograph of the Queen. Thank you for being there for us, Mummy. Again, the words of Prince Charles. Wonderful marmalade, Your Majesty. The Express also running that photograph of dear old Paddington Bear. And Gemma, I've been wooed by a new man. Ooh. Exciting news. That's right, reality star Gemma Collins got cosy with a new fella, a ghost. Oh. The Towie star called in a medium after odd goings-on at her gaff, but the spirit was happy to live with the GC. And party time for her Madge. Again, photographs of thousands of people on the Mall in front of Buckingham Palace. And those are your front pages. Let's get full panel reaction now from Kinsey, Connor and Chris. And Chris, let me start with you, if I may. The Queen has encountered quite a few celebrities in her time. Winston Churchill was her first Prime Minister. Many Prime Ministers since then. Kings, Queens, Presidents, James Bond, and now Paddington Bear.
Top of the notch.
I mean, he's the boss, isn't he?
He's the gaffer. He's the gaffer. I was born in Paddington as well. I missed him. But he's gone to see the Queen. Fabulous.
It's a charming photograph. And as actually one of my earlier guests, Diana Moran, said, my Mark Meets guest, just how happy the Queen seems. I know she's poorly, Chris, and she's not able to attend everything over the 4 days. But when she's out, she's beaming with pride.
Yeah, I mean, I think that... and why wouldn't she? I mean, the whole nation's out there celebrating her and celebrating her wonderful 70-year reign as our Queen. She's got her family with her. And, I mean, there was an article there you spoke of where the Prince Charles made us realise that juxtaposition between Her Majesty and Mummy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, she's celebrating, she's enjoying being mum with her wonderful family, but also being Her Majesty with us. And she's getting she's getting all the plaudits that she rightly deserves. I'm glad she's getting them now. She's hearing all of the love that we have for her as our Queen.
Well put, very well put indeed. And this is a very personal moment, isn't it, Charles, referring to the monarch as Mummy?
I think we need to see more of this side of Prince Charles because he I don't know. I hate his reputation is not necessarily the best. So to see these sensitive moments and to see that he is a compassionate person, I think that it's really important.
Because he's seen, or can be seen, has been seen as quite austere, particularly when he was married to Diana. I think when they were engaged in a television interview, he was asked if they were in love. And
whatever love means. Whatever love means.
I mean, can you imagine if Mr. Kinsey Schofield said that to you?
He wouldn't be around.
You'd throw the bouquet back at him.
I would, no matter how heavy it was.
And you know, I think we saw a flash of emotion, in fact, a lot of emotion from Charles when Philip died. And he was clearly devastated, and as he would be. But it was a more public expression of grief than we might have expected when he lost his father.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I hate to imagine what he might be like when we all lose his mother, because it's going to be such a difficult job. We're going into the King Charles Regency. He has to be seen as strong, but we do know that he's an emotional and a sensitive person. I don't know if it's age or what, but we've seen that evolution. So that's going to be strange for him to try to balance that out. I'm going to be the leader now, but I'm crushed because I've lost my mother.
Will he be a good king?
He will be. I think he will.
A different king, a very different sort of monarch.
Yes.
More proactive?
He's been planning it for the last 70 years, so I think that I think he's got it all sorted out.
He might want to get things done. Do you think he'll invade countries, maybe? Go back to, you know, proper monarchs of the past. I think that when he gets the gig, I think he should invade France, just as a statement.
Oh, see, then I'd actually quite like him. See, my problem with Charles is I'm going to be the Debbie Downer of the panel. I have serious respect for the Queen. I'm not like a super monarchist. I don't follow it with sort of... I don't love the pomp and pageantry, things like that. But all the things she's done is remarkable.
Yeah.
But I agree with Chris in that we've not just got juxtaposition now between Charles the person and Charles the political actor, but we're going to have a massive juxtaposition between his mother and the kind of king he will be. I mean, let's not forget, he's hardly kept the Commonwealth together. He oversaw the departure of Hong Kong, look what's happened there, oversaw the departure of Barbados, and they've just been acquiesced to a lot of Chinese funding. They've come under their sphere of influence. And then let's not be fair here, he is a toady of the World Economic Forum types. He does have one of the initiatives called the Great Reset, and plenty of presenters on this channel have raised concerns about that.
So you think Charles has sort of officially or unofficially signed up to this idea of a power grab by tech giants and by the World Economic Forum and also the World Health Organization to basically kind of, in a totalitarian way, decide, like, will basically dominate our lives?
Yes, but I think he's doing it because he believes the sort of environmentalism is his duty and he just sort of wants to hand it off to other people. I think the main problem with Charles is that, and also that he's sort of transgressing on these unspoken constitutional norms that we've had since the time of the first and second Charlie boy sat on the throne. We haven't had a particularly political peacefulness when we've had King Charles's on the throne. I think, unfortunately, the Queen has been very restrained in her involvement in politics. She showed great leadership, but she hasn't politically intervened, whereas Charles seems to be more on the side of, I'm going to endorse certain policies and institutions, and this is how the country should be run. I don't think the British public like that. They prefer the monarchy to be sort of figurehead and an icon of patriotism rather than a dictocrat.
Yes, a benign figurehead and sort of a passive national figure. What do you think? Will Charles be a good king? What do you think, Chris?
He's been waiting a long time.
Have you met him?
Oh, I've met him a couple of times, yeah. But I like what you said there, Connor, about the impartiality. I think, unfortunately, he may be partial to a few things. And that's going to be a massive contradiction to Queen Elizabeth, who really has kept out of any sort of politics, as it were. So, look, let's see. Let's not judge him until he comes on. I mean, it seems disrespectful talking about that sort of thing.
Of course.
Let's not judge him before his time.
But there's also too much to lose. There's too much to lose. He's going to have to cater to what you want.
How do you mean there's too much to lose?
He's not a very popular figure. People want to see Prince William. You know, people want to see Prince William become king. They're not excited about him. There's too much to lose. He's going to have to cater to what you want and what you believe in.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought, isn't it? Of course, you know, William, the ultimate heir apparent. Let's talk about the Labour Party, if we can, Connor. And both the Independent are leading with Labour. Labour targets Johnson on the levelling up agenda, but that's not the only story, because another fascinating story in The Observer, we are the true party of patriotism, say Labour. Now, I heard you smirking at that one, sniggering. spitting your water out.
Yeah, it's quite hysterical, especially given off of your excellent opening monologue. And as we discussed, Labour seem to be quite Anglophobic. I believe the late Roger Scruton used the term oikophobia. They have a sort of hatred of home, as if they want to fundamentally transform the country according to a hypothetical ideal. It's like George Monbiot, the great Guardianista this week, essentially said the monarchy is an affront to reason, as if you can sort of mathematically plan out a perfect society, as most of the socialists do. And then we have that video ages ago of Keir Starmer turning around and saying, oh yeah, well, I would abolish the monarchy. Now, again, I'm not a uber monarchist, but in the great chain of civilization that Britain has had, it's an important part of our cultural history. If you think you can erase that without having any cultural effects, you're both utterly insane and out of touch with most of the Britons that you would hope to win the votes of.
Well, yes, so-called wokeism, extreme political correctness, Chris, is not compatible with flag-waving patriotism, is it?
Yeah.
So does the popularity of the flag over the last few days, this patriotic fervour among all communities, does that suggest that wokeism is now receding?
I think you've got to define what wokeism is, really. I mean, I hear it banter around for all sorts of things. Back to the article here, I don't know what Keir Starmer stands for. I don't know what Labour stands for. I certainly don't see it as what the true party of patriotism. In what way is Labour patriotic? In what way? I don't know what it stands for. So I think you've got a long way to convince anybody about that. Whatever Keir Starmer is, he's no Tony Blair. And whether you're for Blair or not, at least you had an idea of what he stood for. I haven't got a clue what Keir Starmer stands for.
A fascinating conversation. We'll look lots more to come, including another great British game show tonight based around our wonderful monarch, the Queen herself. You won't want to miss that. But next, we're going to have a fascinating conversation about step families. Is the evil stepmother a myth? We'll discuss that next.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping it.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I hope you're enjoying our Jubilee special effects put together by Faye and Jake. They've been working on that all afternoon. Thank you so much. Now, look, lots of emails coming in on the subject of the royals. Julie says, Dear Mark, I agree with other viewers that we are not being too hard on Meghan and Harry. They are traitors to the Queen and to their country. And I wish that this country treated traitors today as they did in the past.
Oh.
As far as the Duchess of Cambridge. Please stop calling her Kate Middleton. Please call her Catherine and/or the Duchess of Cambridge. Thank you for a great programme. And Julie, thanks very much for your email. It's all about opinions. Marion says, Prince Charles is a lovely man who I met a few years ago and blurted out, "Oh, sir, you are the most handsome man I've ever met." To which he replied, "One does say the nicest things," as he shook my hand and I told him, "Oh, sir, now I want to wash that hand." Sorry, I don't want to wash that hand ever. He was lovely and just laughed. He was so kind. I'm really pleased to hear that, Marion. A quick note on Prince Charles. I'll put this to you, Chris, because you are the ultimate clothes horse. Prince Charles is stylish.
Yeah,
that man knows how to rock a suit.
Well, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I'd say over the decades, he's always brushed up quite well.
Elegant chap indeed. Honestly, Google Prince Charles suit and he's come up with some wonderful offerings, much better than this rubbish from TK Maxx. Now, a fascinating piece in the Metro newspaper claims that being a step-parent is actually harder than being a biological one. A stepmother shared her experiences and even claimed that they should be cut more slack from the children they inherit. She says it became a recipe for disaster because the children were not her own, so she couldn't make a lot of the decisions that real parents make, or biological parents, I think we should say. So is it harder being a stepmum? And does the myth of the evil stepmother or the cruel stepfather ring true? Kinsey?
Well, I imagine that it's more difficult to be, it's why I am refusing to procreate, because I just don't want that kind of drama in my life. I do imagine...
Are you really refusing to procreate?
I'm refusing...
You don't want children?
I have 4 dogs that I'm really, truly
They're your
happy
babies.
about it. They are my babies.
I've heard them.
You have heard them, I apologize.
They barked on the show.
I did.
I thought that was your other half.
No. But no, I do think that that's a really difficult task, and I respect people that take that on, because that's got to be mentally draining, and it's got to be very emotional.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not nice, is it, the way that society casts a stepmother or a stepfather as somehow this dark, scary figure. The evil stepmother is almost like a phrase that just trips off the tongue.
Disney villains, right? I feel like that starts with fairy tales when we're younger. They want to lock us in the room and make us scrub their bathrooms.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The producer that worked on this item, Connor, had a stepmother. It turns out she wasn't very nice.
Oh, well,
So
I wonder why this was bumped up the news itinerary.
Exactly. Is it that situation where it's a cliche because it's true?
I think, the great academic Jordan Peterson's written a lot about this, of where you have these archetypes in stories, but they do serve a sort of psychological purpose. I mean, if you look in really old myths, you've got the tyrant king as too much order and the devouring mother as the dragon of chaos and things like this. So over time, we saw the line. It's why you saw the wicked creature queen in Sleeping Beauty turn into a giant dragon at the end. So they're kind of like mythical motifs. However, I will say I do have a bit of sympathy, and I know I'm a cold-hearted guy, but with the woman who wrote this op-ed, because I understand, I get the noble intentions of wanting to be there for your partner's children and stepping in, and I get the idea that you might have a bit of imposter syndrome, and you might actually feel like, oh, I can't really assert authority or say things are in their best interest, maybe, because they might not respect me, because in their head they're thinking, you're not my mum. And I know a woman who got married to a guy who's got 2 kids, close family friends, basically my aunt, and she used to have fights with those kids, and ultimately they've grown up really loving her essentially more than their own mother, because she wasn't very nice to them. It's a noble calling. I can just understand the struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, we've talked, to a great extent about your childhood. It wasn't an idyllic or perfect childhood, but you prevailed, you came through it. It made you the man you are. I think joining the military was what saved you. But what are your thoughts about this idea of the step family and the problems it brings?
Yeah, so look, like boxers make fights, it depends very much on the children and the mother in question. One thing for sure, you're not their mother. Don't try to be their mother, but there can be authentic commonality. If you're into arts and crafts or sports or order, and one of the children are, you will have that relationship with them. So in the end, don't try and be what you're not. You love the husband or wife, whatever it is. That's great. Show them respect and honour and respect, and just deal with the person in front of you. Every child's different. Every mum or dad is different. So it's not. I mean, I know from experience, my ex-wife, they were in a phenomenal relationship with their fathers. lady friend. Because their mum died, so her mum died when she was very, very early, and they loved... I'm trying to think of it. Oh, gosh, my ex-mother-in-law's... No, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, but they Crystal.
Nice. You got in trouble for that.
But they loved Crystal. So Mark, York and Monica, they loved Crystal because she didn't try and replace their mum. She loved their dad.
Yeah.
And she related with them at where they were at.
There you go. Well, that's it. It takes all sorts to make a family, as your story is testament to, Chris. And so many stepmums and stepdads do their very best, and I'm sure do a brilliant job. I tell you what, though, someone's mum has done a great job today. Connor Tomlinson's mum. Not only did she produce Connor, who I think would agree is a very fine figure of a man.
I am the pride of the family.
But she produced... I better not let this slide, but she produced this cake, whoopsie-daisy. I think I'm duty-bound to try it because...
Breaking keto, Mark,
you know
with
what?
all respect.
I know it's been very badly cut by my team.
I didn't want to say anything.
Here we go. Let's do a taste test.
This is aggressive. I'm loving it.
Delicious. Well, look, that cake is very, very good. What's your mum called? Are we allowed to say?
Lisa Tomlinson.
Lisa, I'm giving that 5 stars. And Mary Berry and... Paul Hollywood would be proud. Delicious cake. Not too sweet. Lovely cream. A little bit crusty on the outside. Just like me. OK. I've lost the power of speech. Haven't had sugar in 3 years. However, we, of course, are celebrating the Jubilee. And it's all about, today and tomorrow, for those street parties, it's the scone. Or is it the scone? It's the ultimate question, which consumes millions. So the question is it a scone or is it a scone? Kinsey?
I mean, I think it's scone, but I also thought it was derby, so I could completely be wrong.
You know, because you're an American, I guess you haven't got skin in this game.
Yeah, sorry.
Connor, scone or scone?
I instinctively say scone, but I suppose it should be scone. It's kind of like, and I don't want to give the Americans credit for butchering our language.
Oh, sorry.
But when you say LMNOP, X, Y, Z, it doesn't quite work. So it should technically be Z. So I'm gonna say even I'm wrong on this one.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm not sure there is a definitive answer, is there? I mean, it's partly regional, wouldn't you say?
100%. It's regional. I mean, it's a scone for me. It could be a scone for you, and it could be a scone.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Going. Scone.
Scone.
There's no cream on those.
Help yourselves.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's butter underneath. So many thanks to
butter underneath the cream.
Melissa Mescana. Abby and the team for sorting out our excellent, not just editorial, but a couple of cakes along the way. Let's crack on now, and we're going to play a Great British game show. The Queen, as we know, is so well-travelled, so we're going to play a game of Where's Queenie, which is based on the popular cartoon Where's Wally? Okay. So there he is. Well, we've decided to give the Queen the Where's Wally treatment. Take a look.
Amazing.
Excellent artwork from Helena.
Excellent.
So, we're going to give you, at home in our panel, a selection of photos, and we've got to ask you where the Queen is, starting with location number 1. OK, now, where could she
Windsor.
be? That's not a difficult one, is it?
Oh.
Kinsey?
Windsor.
Windsor Castle, absolutely right. Well, we thought we'd start you off with a nice low-hanging fruit.
Thank you.
How about location number 2?
It's at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, it's a balcony.
It is the balcony at Buckingham Palace.
Look at
and the little prince there, not enjoying proceedings. Did you think his behaviour was bad, by the way, Kinsey?
Absolutely not. I'm ready. That I would procreate if you could guarantee me that I was going to have Louis.
Did any of you think that his behaviour was out of order or not?
No way.
No, it wasn't. But it wasn't. But if that's Meghan Markle's daughter, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, here goes Chris.
You're right. You'd be like, they've raised a brat.
Yeah.
I think that's a very fair point. Location number 3.
Oh, at the White House?
Yeah, you'd recognise that one, Kinsey.
There's W.
OK, and next venue?
Oh, I don't know.
It's an iconic London church.
Is it St. Paul's or...?
It's an abbey.
Oh, Abbey.
Westminster Abbey.
It is well done, Westminster Abbey. Next up.
Oh.
Now, which particular country is she in? Begins with an M.
Is that Cabo?
Malawi?
Nigeria?
I'm just kidding.
We're close. Mozambique.
Oh.
How about this one? Where is the Queen here? In the company of Mother Teresa. Very young, the Queen, at that point. And she's in New Delhi, India.
Oh, wow.
How about back to North America? I'll give you a clue. Highlanders in North America, but which country? Kinsey.
Oh, don't ask me. I didn't raise my hand.
Let's have a look. You might know it's your neighbours in Ontario, Canada.
All right.
OK, next up.
Oh, what a great picture.
Now, that's a fantastic picture. That
It's
winning
Disneyland.
smile. It's not Disneyland. It's close to it. It's Trinidad.
Beautiful.
And last but not least, a Caribbean island previously frequented by her sister, Princess Margaret.
Mustique.
Mustique is the right answer. And she has not lost her mystique over the years, has she? Another Jubilee special tomorrow. Thanks to my amazing panel, Kinsey, Connor and Chris. We're back tomorrow at 9. Stick around. I will be in the hot seat for headliners, and I'll see you tomorrow at 9.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking rather cloudy for many areas with a weather warning for England and Wales. Let's take a look at the details. In the southwest of England, some could wake up to a few rumbles of thunder, as there's a risk of some heavy showers, otherwise cloudy and relatively mild. In the southeast of England, the overnight rain will have cleared to the north, but it will remain quite cloudy and there's a risk of some downpours. In South Wales, it will be a cloudy start for all, and for some quite damp. There's a risk of torrential rain as well as thunderstorms. In northwest England, it's looking much drier than further south on Sunday morning, but again a cloudier start than previous days, and the risk of showers will increase through the morning. In northeast England, cloud from the North Sea will move into many areas, bringing a relatively murky start once again, although it will be dry for all for the morning. Southern Scotland will see the best of the sunshine to start the final day of the bank holiday, though it could feel a little chilly in the shade. And in Northern Ireland, it'll be a fine start to the day, but probably a bit cloudier than recent mornings, though the winds will be light. Towards lunchtime, some central areas will turn drier for a time, but it'll stay quite cloudy and rain will continue for some. And that's how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you, or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers.